Hey everyone. First, I of course hope you're doing well through these complicated times, pandemic and otherwise, that you're safe and optimistic through it all, however involved you may be. Now, for me and various other Transformers fans, usually around my age, but perhaps older or younger, my introduction to the brand was, in retrospect, a pretty interesting one through Beast Wars, airing in the mid to late 90s. The cartoon and toy line and overall take on Transformers was quite a radical one at the time. Interesting risk that impressively paid off. Different kinds of storytelling, different animation, that it was computer animated rather than traditional 2D. Introduced various new characters, unique concepts, and of course it hasn't been forgotten. The impact it's left, both with the fiction and the overall presentation of sorts of the media, toys, TV, other tie-in media and stuff, still goes pretty strong to this day. Kind of toy making standards when it comes to features and things like that. Number of characters and concepts have been referenced or integrated into continuities afterward, either subtly or enjoyably directly. But until this year, didn't really have a resurgence of sorts. But 2021 is the 25th anniversary of Beast Wars, having begun in 1996. And they're taking this pretty seriously on a few different fronts. First and primarily, as you can see behind me, the War for Cybertron Kingdom line is heavily based in Beast Wars characters and story. The overall take seems to be that the Maximals and Predacons are fighting on prehistoric Earth with their own Autobot and Decepticon predecessors. And so with primary characters from the show like Rat Trap, Cheetor, Optimus Primal, Megatron, and Black Arachnia so far from the toy line, they're being featured heavily alongside other new beastly characters that can kind of fit in with that brand looking back. Not sure if we'll necessarily get the full season 1 cast, but seems like one way or another, maybe including in future toy lines, you might get that assortment. So we have new versions of these folks and others in updated forms. Overall, show accurate robot modes with more like zoologically realistic beast modes. The main tie-in to Kingdom as a toy line is the upcoming Netflix season or series, however you want to consider it. It's part of the War for Cybertron trilogy computer animated series. I'll admit that I have not seen the Siege or Earthrise runs yet. From what I know, they present some interesting things, but as a whole aren't that great. So, not particularly looking forward to finding out how they might handle these characters and their personalities, their adventures in this way. But one other area that I am happy about is the new comic from IDW, the first full reboot of this Transformers take, completely unconnected to the previous 90s story, but still presenting quite a few familiar things from it. Written by Eric Burnham, art by Josh Burcham. It's already off to an interesting start. This first issue kind of covering the events right before the series premiere and sort of the first act of the first episode. I know that as of this video going out, there's the second issue is already on shelves, and in some areas there's probably already some availability for the next Beast Wars characters in the Kingdom line, namely Airazor and Dinobot. But I haven't found those in stores yet, and I'm waiting until the end of the month to get my comics. So, for now, this is the presentation. Sorry that despite my enthusiasm genuinely for this part of the franchise's history, the brand as a whole, still kind of stumbling and perhaps coming across as kind of dry, but this really is what brought me into the world of Transformers. Still remember my first episodes of each season, in fact. My first two Transformers toys that were from this line. I say it like that because I got them on consecutive days, so I can't quite remember which one was first or second. But yeah, this is a pretty big deal for Transformers fans like myself to see this still pretty celebrated and revered part of the brand, but not as directly paid tribute until this year. Finally get some big attention like this. Haven't done so yet, but I will likely rewatch the show over some length of time. A week, a month, don't quite know. But as dated as the show can be, it will be very enjoyable, nostalgic revisit. If you're a Transformers fan, long time or quite new, and have been wondering what the fuss is about, this is quite the year to dive in. Rather than Autobots and Decepticons, it's Maximals and Predacons. Rather than gigantic, ever-changing casts of characters, it's a pretty small core group that shuffles around ever so slightly through the run. So whether it's toys, animation, comics, old or new, hope you have some fun throughout 2021. Unintended rhyme there. To get at least a little bit of info on what brought about some pretty interesting change to Transformers, starting way back when, 25 years ago. So that's basically it for this. Like I said at the beginning, I hope you're doing well through all this, with the combination of being careful and looking ahead. So with that, I'll see you later, folks.